Dragon SpaceX, soft capture confirmed.
Dragon copies, and we see the same.
As you heard that call out, soft capture is now complete. Next will be hard capture. This is where the pins will insert themselves into that docking adapter and create a hard lock.
And we had that soft capture at 8:01 p.m. Pacific time, 11:01 p.m. Eastern time. Crew Dragon and the International Space Station flying 262 statute miles over Idaho.
Dragon SpaceX, soft capture ring retraction in progress.
That call confirming just what we're looking to hear. The soft capture ring is retracting. We're looking for sensors to indicate it'll be time for hooks to drive, create that firm hold on Crew Dragon. So this can take several minutes, maybe about 10 to 13 minutes. But slow and steady wins the race. Crew Dragon is now at the International Space Station. This view over the shoulder of our commander and our pilot, Mike Hopkins and Victor Glover. They are watching this all unfold via these 3 displays.
We've got some folks here watching as we confirm that soft capture there. Everybody's pretty excited. I'm getting really excited. I can't wait. They're almost done. This is the home stretch.
So once again, we had contact, soft capture confirmed at the International Space Station for Crew Dragon at 8:01 p.m. Pacific time, 11:01 p.m. Eastern time. Both vehicles were flying 262 statute miles over Idaho. We're now in the soft capture ring retract period. We'll be looking for that ring to retract fully. These sensors will indicate that we are ready to firmly connect with the International Space Station. That's called the hard capture. And that means it'll be time after that to begin leak checks, suit doffing or taking off their suits for the crew, eventually hatch opening. So all those steps might take a couple of hours, but we will be here for their first, I can't say steps inside the space station, for their first floats inside the space station.
Houston Station, undocking complete. Sensor 1 and 2 are off. OFS timer has been started.
Dragon SpaceX, ring retraction complete. Docking sequence is holding for MCS reconfiguration.
Okay, Dragon copies all, and we are opening our visors at this time.
Heard the soft capture ring retract is complete. And MCS stands for Motion Control System. We are handing off from the Russian thrusters to the U.S. gyroscopes. The other voice you heard was that of NASA astronaut Kate Rubins monitoring the arrival of her 4 new crewmates inside Crew Dragon. Everything's still going smoothly. We're currently awaiting that hard capture to be complete. As we mentioned, it can take about 10 minutes. Confirmation, we are now on gyroscopes on the
Dragon End Station on the big loop, MCS configured, proceeding with hook driving.
Yeah, Dragon copies. Good news.
Copies, thanks.
Good news indeed. MCS, the motion control system configuration is complete. We have now moved to those gyroscopes instead of Russian thrusters, meaning the hard capture sequence has begun.
The hooks are currently driving into place to give us that hard capture. Once we do have that hard capture, though, it will take some time before we can open the hatches. They will perform some leak checks to make sure that it is safe to open both the A-Pass hatch and the Dragon hatch. That could take up to about an hour after hard capture is complete.
You were initially discussing, looked like we might have an 8 o'clock p.m. Pacific time docking, and we did have that contact and capture coming at 8:01 p.m. Pacific time. So very close, and that was even with us holding for a little bit to allow the crew some better visibility. Hard capture sequence now underway, and we're standing by for that confirmation. I know the astronauts have to be loving looking at all of this data. Tons of excitement. I know they've enjoyed their ride in Crew Dragon. They were having so much fun during the broadcast, but can only imagine their excitement to be at the International Space Station now.
Now they're right there. Hard capture coming to a closure in a few minutes. Then they'll be able to start getting out of their suits again that they put on just for this approach period. We've got confirmation that the first 6 hooks are complete and closed.
Ground 2, let me know if you're go for 1.403, monitoring tools tear down.
Houston copies, Kate. We'll be ready shortly. We'll let you know.
As I was mentioning, those first 6 hooks are now complete and closed. The next 6 are on their way to complete this hard capture. The crew patiently waiting and watching and monitoring on their 3 display panels there.
We also heard from Kate Rubins on the station side, asking if it was time for her to deconstruct her monitoring system where she's been watching the approach. ground teams will let her know whenever they're ready for that.
Again, hard capture is underway. Once hard capture is complete, they will perform some leak checks prior to opening up the A-Pass hatch. Once the A-Pass hatch is open, they'll perform some more checks to make sure that it is okay to open the Dragon hatch. And in the meantime,
Dragon SpaceX hard capture complete.
Dragon copies.
and there we heard the confirmation that hard capture is complete.
Dragon is officially attached to the International Space Station after arriving at 8:01 p.m. Pacific Time, 11:01 p.m. Eastern Time.
27.5 journey to station since launch yesterday at 7:27 p.m. Eastern Time. How exciting. The crew must be so excited now that they're going to start doing the process of doing leak checks before they open those hatches. But they'll start taking off their suits and getting ready to enter the space station.
Station Houston on 2, you are go for tool teardown.
Copy, go, thanks.
That's the call Kate Rubins was looking for. She is good to tear down her station. She was monitoring the arrival of Crew Dragon. And things will be picking up inside the space station for her. She's getting the hatch on the station side ready to be opened. She'll also start pressurizing that area known as the vestibule between Dragon and the station hatches. And we are waiting for the umbilicals to connect Crew Dragon to the International Space Station. This will allow Crew Dragon to use the space station's power, audio, and data connections.
Resilience, SpaceX. Docking sequence is complete. Welcome to the ISS, Resilience.
And SpaceX, this is Resilience. Excellent job right down the center. SpaceX and NASA, congratulations. This is a new era of operational flights to the International Space Station from the Florida coast. And ISS, Sergey, and Kate, we'll see you real soon.
日本の皆様、クルードラゴン運用初号機、無事に ISS にドッキングしました。国際パートナーの一員として、民間宇宙船のドッキング成功に立ち会えてとても幸せです。我々レジリエンスクルーは、訓練の間、そして打ち上がった後も、様々な困難な状況に直面しましたが、全集中で乗り切ってきました。これから半年間の宇宙滞在も皆さんと感動を分かち合いましょう。All for one, crew one for all.
Resilience Station, welcome to the ISS. We can't wait to have you on board.
Spectacular job, Resilience. On behalf of all the flight controllers around the world, welcome aboard as we embark on 7-person crew operations and more milestones ahead for the station.
And with that, ground will be enabling hardline power and comm connection shortly. You are go to doff your suits per procedure 4.012. We will configure video to go external momentarily and we'll let you know when it's ready.
Okay, SpaceX ANL from Dragon, we copy 4.012 and standing by for the cameras.
In Dragon SpaceX on the big loop, cameras are external.
And Dragon copies 4.012, suit doffing inward.
Heard some clapping here in Hawthorne at SpaceX headquarters and even saw a little bit of celebration aboard Crew Dragon. Once it was confirmed hard capture was complete, Dragon was attached to the International Space Station. And then an amazing reminder just how important it is and how international the International Space Station is. Words from Soichi Noguchi, the first international partner to fly aboard a commercial crew vehicle from the Japanese Aerospace Exploration Agency.
What an amazing, amazing journey this has been. I can't believe that they are there now, officially docked to the space station. So excited to see them get out of their suits and eventually get on station. But now that Dragon has completed the docking sequence, the spacecraft must undergo a handful of checks before we will be able to open the hatch. The crew on board Dragon will now get a chance to get out of their suits before moving into the hatch operations, which is why they're getting some privacy on Dragon right now. Yeah,
that's right. We heard that call for external cameras. And as we also heard, Kate Rubins got the go to take down the station she was monitoring the Crew Dragon arrival from, and she is also getting things ready on the station side to welcome her new crewmates aboard. She's going to be getting the hatch ready to be open on the station side. That's the Node 2 hatch. And then pressurizing that area known as the vestibule between Dragon and the station hatches. And the station hatch that we're looking at for that vestibule area is the A-Pass hatch. We had a great view of that as Crew Dragon was flying in. We also saw that little docking target for which Crew Dragon was able to align. And Kate Rubins will pressurize that hatch. We'll have a thermal stabilization period as well. And this means we will pause for a while as we begin to do leak checks. We want to make sure that there's no fluctuation in temperature that can make it look like there's a fluctuation in pressure. So we'll be pausing for about 30 minutes for that. And once it evens out, Kate Rubins will open up that hatch. She'll remove the docking target. And then it'll be a short matter of time before we see our Crew Dragon crew enter their new home aboard the International Space Station.
That's very exciting. So let's go to Brandy Dean for a refresher on what's ahead now that Dragon is docked.
Yeah, it's so great to see Dragon there docked on the end of the Harmony node and ready for the new joint expedition to begin. What better way to celebrate 20 years of continuous human presence in space than by adding a 7th crew member to the long-duration crew on board the space station, allowing them to do more work and more science. But before we do get to that, we do have to get them on the other side of the hatch, and that is what is ahead of us for tonight now at this point. That is still a little ways off because it does take a little bit of time to get all these hatches open. There's more than one, in fact. When Kate Rubins gets the go from the team here on the ground, she will be doing a short check of the pressurization inside the pressurized mating adapter. That is the tunnel that basically connects now the Harmony node to the Dragon. Assuming that looks good, and it should only take a minute or so, that will be opened, and then she can start the next step, which will take a little longer. The small area between the hatch on the space station and the Dragon has been exposed to the vacuum of space until now, so it needs to be filled with air, and that takes a little while. Kate Rubins will be working on that for the next hour and a half or so. But after that, we will be able to see all the crew members together for the first time, which we were really looking forward to. But we'll keep following along in the meantime, and for now, I'll pass it back to you guys in Hawthorne. Thanks.
Thanks, Brandy. So exciting. We're getting very, very close. It's been such an amazing journey since launch yesterday at 7:27 p.m. Eastern Time. We watched them from the beginning, from them suiting up, making their way to the pad, riding the fixed service structure, ingressing on Dragon, getting into their seats, getting strapped in, liftoff at 7:27 p.m. Eastern Time with a safe ride from Falcon, separating Dragon into orbit.
It's an absolutely amazing journey there. That's the only word I can think of right now. And
Right.
27 and a half hours later, it almost doesn't even feel like that long. So I hope that they've had a good ride in Dragon. It was amazing to see Crew Dragon earlier, that they were able to take us inside, give us a little bit of a tour. And then it had those 5 major burns. You know, we had one last night. The crew got some sleep. And we had the rest today. We also added in a few additional maneuvers in there, or I should say the Dragon computer added those maneuvers in there just to keep us on the right trajectory, and obviously it did a great job. Crew Dragon arrived at the International Space Station at 8:01 p.m. Pacific Time, 11:01 p.m. Eastern Time. And this view coming from inside the International Space Station, looking at the Node 2 hatch. This is what Kate Rubins will open shortly and then begin pressurizing the vestibule, that area between those 2 hatches that Brandy Dean was telling us about.
This is so exciting. It's been a long journey, but so worth it. They made it to the station safely. Can't wait for them to get through these next few processes, do the leak checks, and make sure everything is safe to open those hatches. And then watch as the crew members, the Crew 1 crew members, board the International Space Station.
And it looks quiet in there right now and empty, but in just over an hour and a half, maybe we will see probably 7 people crammed into this small space, hugging and welcoming each other to the International Space Station. We're keeping an eye on Crew Dragon and on the International Space Station as they continue these checks. Crew Dragon crew members will begin doffing their suits here soon. Kate Rubins will get to work on the station side, opening this hatch, conducting leak checks, pressurizing the vestibule, and eventually welcoming our crew members on board.
We will have a welcome ceremony, so stay tuned with us. We will stay live.
Yes, and we will definitely stay live as we move through all of these checks. We'll keep you updated as they progress, and you'll get to watch the crew members float through, making their home on the International Space Station for the next 6 months.
Dragon SpaceX on the Big Loop. ISS power connection is established.
Dragon copies. Good news.
Station Houston on space to ground 2 for ingress part 1.
Copy, and waiting on your go.
And you are go in both steps 1.1 and 2.2.
We go in 1.1 and 2.2. In work.
That is Kate Rubins aboard the International Space Station, stepping through the procedures to bring Crew Dragon on board. And the hatch she just opened obviously is on the station side of Node 2. That is the pressurized mating adapter hatch. She's got several more steps on her side to go. Meanwhile, the crew aboard Crew Dragon will be doffing their suits or taking them off, drying and stowing them. They'll also be stowing any of the equipment that they used.
Station on Space to Ground 2, the Node 2 forward hatch is open and the MPEV is uncapped. In step 1.2 and 1.3, there was no Delta P drop.
Copy all.
And that was Kate just confirming that that hatch is now open.
And she is speaking with the Capcom in Mission Control Houston. The Capcom stands for Capsule Communicator. That's a term from back in the days when we were just flying capsules. And of course, we moved to the Space Shuttle program, not necessarily a capsule. And here we are in a capsule again. However, Capcom is the person that speaks with the astronauts aboard the International Space Station. They relay everything that's happening on the ground to the crew members. This keeps them from getting too much information coming from too many different directions. You see Kate Rubins ingressing the pressurized mating adapter. She'll also need to conduct, she'll need to pressurize the vestibule. That's the next hatch. That's the space between Crew Dragon and the International Space Station, that vestibule area. And the APAS hatch was what was exposed to the vacuum of space prior to Crew Dragon's arrival, so we want to make that the same pressure as what's inside Crew Dragon and the space station.
Looks pretty easy to get around in the space station. See her gliding around as she's grabbing some of her tools.
Kate will begin opening a valve on the APAS hatch to slowly let air in, pausing along the way. And we'll also do a thermal stabilization, making sure that the temperature isn't changing in that vestibule area, giving us signals that are changing when it comes to the pressure we want to see inside. So we'll end up pausing for about 30 minutes to make sure that is leveled out. Eventually, Kate Rubins will open up the APAS hatch, remove the docking target that we saw as Crew Dragon was flying in. That's what the vehicle uses to align with the International Space Station. She will stow that docking target, and then it'll be time for our crew aboard Crew Dragon to ingress the space station.
What a cool view we are getting here from the space station, looking out at Dragon attached to that Node 2 port.
Also a good view of the trunk of Dragon, and you can see those solar arrays, or they're not really arrays, they're solar cells, and they're wrapped around the body of Dragon. That's the
station on Space to Ground 2 in step 2.4 at 0438. APAS equalization valve was closed after 75 seconds of open.
Copy all, Kate. We see good vestibule pressurization.
And I would put a warning there, or at least a note for the crew about how loud that was.
We copy, Kate.
Didn't sound like that in training in Houston. Houston.
We'll have to beef up our simulators.
Yeah, suck some air out of the room.
Kate Rubens is talking with our Capcom, Megan Levins, who is a trainer. She was saying that letting that air into the vestibule was a little bit louder than she expected it to be. But she did let in 75 seconds of air, beginning to pressurize the vestibule, that space between the A-Pass hatch on the station and the Crew Dragon hatch. As we were discussing, though, you can see those solar cells on the top half of Dragon, on the trunk. That's the black section. It's allowed Dragon to gather energy from the sun on its journey to the International Space Station. Meanwhile, on the bottom half of the trunk, the white side is a thermal radiator. It can help keep Dragon cool. However, Crew Dragon, now being attached to the International Space Station, is running on space station power rather than any power of its own.
And as we're getting ready for these hatches to be open, Dragon will actually use sensors on board Dragon to check the pressure inside of the vestibule before we open up that Dragon hatch.
This all comes again after Crew Dragon's contact with the International Space Station happening tonight at 8:01 p.m. Pacific time.
Dragon Houston on Space to Ground 2. We will be transitioning audio, so you will be down comm for just a few minutes.
Dragon copy.
The Houston team letting Crew Dragon crew know they're reconfiguring to different audio configurations, and they'll regain communications with them shortly. As we saw earlier, the crew asked that the cameras inside be made external so we wouldn't get any interior views of Crew Dragon. That's because they will be doffing their suits, getting back into those comfortable clothes, preparing to ingress or enter the International Space Station once all of this pressurization of the vestibule and leak checks are complete.